in the headquarters of the Council of the 33 Degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in Washington, D.C. Now, that right there is something, and we may later on another day talk about the Albert Pike Monument, which is in Washington, D.C. We're going to come back and take on a look at the prediction of the three wars that this satanic son of Satan had predicted. We'll be right back right after John Boy.
When I say Hebrews, I mean myself. Praying, cause I can't redeem myself. Folks. Okay. They say the Bible man-made, so they don't need it in their life. But if they balls say jump, they would take flight. Your life and the way you go about it ain't right, you ain't tight. They don't think Christ came in the first place. So to return, they don't think twice. This word is not of own interpretation. 2 Peter 1:20, if you need it blatant. My people can't love cause they used to hating. They can't give anything cause they used to taking. They screaming where he at cause they sick of waiting. But when your check in the mail, you just sit patient, wait and tell your boss man to pay you before payday. So Christ ain't gonna come just cause you screaming Mayday. You ain't even doing what you really supposed to. So when he do return, he ain't coming back for you. He might ignore you cause he never known you. If you think this man-made, then you hell-bound. A fool says no God. If you think this man-made, then you hell-bound. Psalms 14:1. If you think this man-made, then you hell-bound. Psalms 14:1, a fool says no God. All I see is food and power and they rule. Treat us like a tool, tossed aside never to be used. In a shed where we bled. Atheist church, I call it Satan church instead. That's the devil trick that make you think he don't exist. We ain't living rich, we got the curse and not the gift. But his fall made us stronger. I pray we find a better way to grow. But there's only a little ways to go. Overall, Israel did good. Living in tribulation, no other nation could. So you would be a fool to say it's no God. I pray you do not choose the wrong side. My path narrow, yours wide. My eyes wide open, yours blind. So I'ma keep it rocking to the end come. And then some.
Welcome back to Absolute Knowledge and Truth, the music of John Boy. We've just finished up Who is Albert Pike? Let's go and see what Albert Pike did and prophesied over these three worlds. Let's take a look. And I just want to let you know, probably on Net's Absolute Knowledge and Truth, I'm thinking the other brothers will be joining me. I want to add their comment on that. That is Gabrielle as well as Baruch. Hopefully they will be with us on next week. They had some things they had to take care of at work. So all due to that, we should have them back on next Wednesday, if not the following Wednesday after that. But we're going to keep it going right here because the show, the truth must go on. And just want everybody to know that we will be bringing you all the absolute knowledge and truth for all of North America. Want to say a shout out to everyone in the greater Georgia area, saying a shalom to everyone in the metro Atlanta as well as Savannah, and all our regular listeners in the greater Douglas, Georgia area, and saying a shalom to everyone in Augusta, Georgia, as well as in Macon and Columbus, Georgia. Got to get these shout outs here. I want to send a shout out to our broadcast office in the greater New Orleans, Louisiana area. And so much going on around for this upcoming pagan holiday again, another pagan holiday. One of these days we're going to get to it and talk about these heathen holidays. We do holy days here. We don't do holidays here. But sending all these shout outs to everyone across the land that is listening, West Coast, East Coast, the Dirty South, as well as everyone up there north, everyone in the Ohio area. So let's see what Albert Pike did in the 3 World Wars. Albert Pike received a vision. Well, we know where that vision came from was Lucifer himself, which he described in a letter that he wrote to Mazzini, dated August the 15th, 1871. The letter graphically outlined plans for 3 world wars that were seen as necessary to bring about the one world order. And we can marvel at how accumulatively it has that have already taken place. Pike's letter to Mazzini. It is commonly believed facility that for a short time, the Pike's letter to Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London, and it was copied by William Guy Carr, former intelligence officer in the Royal Canadian Navy. The British Library has confirmed in writing to me that such a document has never been in their possession. Furthermore, in Carl's book, Satan, Prince of this World, Carl includes the following footnotes. Yeah, I can see the Royal Canadian Navy saying in the British Museum, this does not exist. They don't want to say that they believe in Satan. All right, here's the footnotes that it says. The keeper of the manuscript already informed the author that letter is not categorically in the British Museum Library. It seems strange that a man of Cardinal Rodriguez's knowledge should have said that it was in 1925. It appears that Carl learned about this letter from Cardinal Caro Rodriguez of Santiago, Chile, who wrote The Mystery of Freemasonry Unveiled. That's right. What's done in the dark will always come to light. Y'all remember that. All right. To date, no conclusion proves exists to show that this letter was ever written. Nevertheless, the letter is widely quoted and the topic of much discussion. Following are apparently extracts of the letter showing how 3 world wars have been planned for many generations. So you know that the Freemasonry is a secret generation. Therefore, all your Masons that are in the so-called public office already know what's going on. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of Khazars in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. We already know that happened. The divigerates caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to format this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Now, you ever wonder when you were in the military? I know when I was in the military, I always wonder why they use the word theater. Like, we will operate this theater, or this theater exercise, or the European theater operation. It was already a play, and we were going by a strip. Does the light come on when I mention that? Okay, moving on in this letter, students of history will recognize that the political alliance of England on one side and Germany on the other, forged between 1871 and 1898 by Otto von Bismarck, co-conspirator of Albert Pike, were instrumental in bringing about the First World War. The Second World War must be formulated by taking advantage of the difference between the fascists and the political Zionists. The war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionists be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. Now, we're talking about the fake Jews now, not the real Jews that Christ talks about, because he came to the lost house of Israel, and that is your Negroes here in America. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it fits. Excuse me. For the final social catechism. After the Second World War, communism was made strong enough to begin taking over weaker governments in 1945. At the Potsdam Conference between Truman, Churchill, and Stalin, a large portion of Europe was simply handed over to Russia. And on the other side of the world, the war with Japan helped to sweep the tide of communism into China. Readers who argued that the term Nazism and Zionism were not known in 1871 should remember that the Illuminati invented both these movements. In addition, communism as an ideology and as a coined phrase originates in France during the Revolution. In 1785, Ristif coined the phrase 4 years before revolution broke out. Ristif and Barbara, in turn, were influenced by Rossini, as was the most famous conspirator of them all, Adam Westinghouse. The Third World War be formulated by causes by the adjutant of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leader of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arab world, and political Zionists, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We have unleashed the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its honor will show clearly to the nations the efforts of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obligated to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude of disillusioned with Christianity, whose decimal spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an idea, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view. The manifestations will result from the general reaction movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. All right. Since the terrorist attacks were set, this is a footnote here. Since the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, world events, and in particular the Middle East, show a growing unrest and instability between modern Zionists and the Arab world, in line with the call for a third